Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hi everybody! Italian Wine Podcast celebrates its 4th anniversary this year, and we all love the great content they put out every day. Chin Chin with Italian wine people has become a big part of our day, and the team in Verona needs to feel our love. Producing the show is not easy, folks. Herding all those hosts, getting the interviews, dropping the Clubhouse recordings, not to mention editing all the material. Let's give them a tangible fan hug with a contribution to all their costs. Head to ItalianWinePodcast.com and click donate to show your love.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name's Stevie Kim, and this is the Italian Wine Club on the Clubhouse. Oh, I see Ariana. Ciao, Ariana. Today's call is our 10th installment of the Ambassador's Corner. I'm especially excited about the room today as we have Arianna Occhipinti, still so young, probably young enough to be my daughter. I don't know. And already an iconic figure in the Italian wine industry. I've grabbed my drink and I'm definitely ready to sit back and ready to shut up and listen to today's fireside chat, moderated by none other than our friend and ambassador Hugh Preece, also known as you can see, Fermented Boss. I'd like to remind everyone that Ambassador's Corner is where Italian wine ambassadors like Hugh and many others from Italian wine ambassadors community get a chance to nominate and interview their favorite Italian wine producers on Clubhouse. And if anyone would like to nominate and interview your personal favorite Italian wine producer, please get in touch with us meaning either myself or Leica, our backstage Clubhouse manager, and Joy, our Italian wine podcast producer. Because we get, before we get on to today's show, I need to remind you in the audience and, of course, the panelists today that, one, the room will indeed be recorded and may be replayed on the Italian Wine Podcast. Sometimes there's some technical issue, but I've got my roadcaster at the office today. Everyone's gone. The lights are dim, so the quality of the recording should be decent, as I absolutely love to share today's call with many listeners as possible. By the way, I've got a small ask for you. What we do here and Italian Wine Podcast is absolutely a labor of love. So if you can give a thumbs up to the Italian Wine Podcast and rate our podcast wherever you get your pods, we'd really, really, really appreciate that. And if you'd like to make a small donation, we love you even more. So let me start the show by saying a few words about Hugh Preece, your host ambassador for today. He is actually a very, very dear ambassador, one of our favorites of all time, incredibly active and proactive. He runs a room himself on the Italian Wine Club. I don't know if he's still doing that every day. Maybe he can say something about that later. He is the president and operating partner of this group of restaurants. It's called Salt Creek Grille restaurants and Pickled Tap Room. I've not been. I'm really looking forward to going there one of these days. And he is also, of course, the Italian wine ambassador for Vinitaly International Academy, but also Italian wine scholar from the Wine Scholar Guild, certified educator. He also teaches on behalf of VIA locally in the territory because he's also an educator for us. He's a somm, and we've seen him recently at the 5-Star Wines in Verona. And this is a curious fact which I didn't know. He's also an author of Counting Castles in Abruzzo. So maybe he'll tell us a little bit about that. I have no clue what that is all about.
Ciao, Stevie. Thank you very much, Stevie Kim, Italian Wine Podcast, for allowing me this opportunity.
So do you want to, my first question always is why you've selected Arianna Occhipinti as your favorite producer?
But I mean, her story is, I find her story just fascinating. And one of my favorite varietals, and especially my favorite red from Sicily, is Frappato. So, I've fallen in love with her wines, and then, learning her background and her story, I just find it amazing.
Fantastic. I mean, Ariana is so well known all over the world, and everyone is talking about her frappato. So, we get a little geeky here. I see a lot of hello everybody from the Italian wine community. I see Melissa, Sheila, of course, and then who else? We have Sue Tolson. Hello, I've not seen you in a long time. Cynthia, of course, from the office. She's joined our group, by the way, in Verona. Paul, he did a podcast recently, and of course Fanny, our new Neo ambassador, as well as Kevin. Hello, Kevin. Mary, our ambassador. Tiziana. I hope I didn't miss anybody else. So, we usually like to also talk about learning objectives because this room is a bit educational in nature. So what are kind of the learning objectives that we should be looking for?
Well, I just, basically, I really want people in the wine community to have a better understanding of an extremely talented female wine producer whose natural wines are celebrated across the world, as you had mentioned before.
And how did you discover? When was the first time you discovered Arianna Occhipinti's wine?
Well, as I mentioned before, Frappato is one of my, if not my favorite red from Sicily. So, I try to taste as many as I can just to gauge the typicity of the variety, and hers is just struck me.
Yeah, I think it has struck many of us. I wish I had a glass right now with me. So I'm going to hand over the mic to you, Hugh. So take it away. Ciao, Ariana.
Hi, everybody. Finally. How are you?
Good. Are you doing your vendemmia?
Yes, I finished today to press the white Albanello, Zibibbo, and Grillo. So I had a full week of vendemmia of white, and was really good. A little bit before usual, but the quality is good.
Okay, great. I'm going to leave it to you. I'll shut up. Otherwise, I won't shut up, as you know.
Ciao, Ariana. It's a pleasure to meet you. I just want to give a brief background. I'm sure most people know who you are, but a brief background on you. Ariana has emerged as a pivotal personality for new generations of wine enthusiasts. Her rapid rise has been well deserved. She is based in the Cerasuolo di Vittoria DOCG, where she farms native varieties of Sicily. She's well known for cultivating wines using biodynamic methods. Thank you for taking this time out of your busy day. I know it's a busy time of year for you. It's a great pleasure for me to be able to have this opportunity to chat with you. My first question to you is an intro. Would you tell us the story of what drew you into the wine industry?
Yeah, of course. Nice to be here. I started my wine life quite early. When I was 17, 18, I start to help a little bit during weekend my uncle Giusto from Coast Winery for some tasting or helping a little bit in the cellar. And I really loved this work. So I decided to study winemaking and enology, and I moved to Milano. And in that experience of university, it was very important. I had very good very good teachers. And fortunately, I traveled to visit some good producer. And step by step, I start to love and to be more passionate about the story and the life and the wine of producers that have artisanal and natural approach. Their wine telling that there was deep, and I was discovering energy, and I was very happy to discover new and new. So early I decided to search a vineyards in Victoria. So when I was studying, I was missing Victoria because it's important to leave Sicily sometimes to see another mentality outside when we are 18 years old, for example. But fortunately, I start to miss my land, my place, and I decided to rent 1 hectare of vineyards of Frappato di Vittoria and Nero d'Avola, so the two indigenous variety of Victoria. And step by step, I arrived in this world and I experimented, and I'm here now. So this was the short story how I arrived in the wine world.
I love it. And your uncle is involved with COS, right?
Yes. He's the partner. There are two partners, and Giusto is the O of COS Occhipinti.
So it's kind of in your DNA. So at the university, what did you study at the university?
I studied winemaking and viticulture, so both the agriculture part of our job and also the winemaking subjects. So more chemical approach, of course, because it is also important for us to understand all the biochemical process, of course. And then when we start making wine, we can decide which kind of road to follow. But I always say that for me it was important to study to arrive at a little bit more sure at my first vintage. That I was very young. I was 21 years old. So the university was important to understand the theoretical side, but for me was important already for this.
Excellent. So you started making wine in 2004. Can you walk us through the growth of your vineyard from then to present? And I think then you started with 1 hectare.
Yes, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful story. Yes, I started the year renting 1 hectare of vineyards. In Victoria, many vineyards were abandoned 20 years ago because economically was not easy to grow Frappato and Nero d'Avola. Especially Frappato was abandoned. So I found this hectare was not easy to find vineyards for rent, but I was lucky. And step by step, I planted first a couple of hectares in Contrada Fosso di Lupo, and then I was able to find other small parcel like half hectare, 1 hectare in historical Contrada, historical district of the appellation. And I received, fortunately, some help from European system, gave me opportunity to plant and buy other piece of land. So step by step, in the last 18 years, I was able to buy and plant and buy also old vineyards. And now I run 30 hectares of vineyards, all indigenous grape, Frappato di Vittoria, Melli, Nero d'Avola. Of course, for our C'era Solo di Vittoria and for the single wines, and then for white, Zibibbo, Albanello, and Grillo.
Fascinating. So 30 hectares is roughly about 70 acres of vineyard. How are your vineyards different?
Vineyards are different, first because they are not only vineyards, fortunately. In the last years, while I was planting vineyards, in the meantime, I was improving my project about biodiversity. So I don't like monoculture. I think the balance in nature is it's important to get through growing many different kind of varieties to improve biodiversity thanks to planting, for example, wheat, vegetable garden, to maintain the Mediterranean vegetation around. So now I can say I grow also 10 hectares of wheat. I have a beautiful vegetable garden that we start to grow a couple of years ago. I have olive trees. I I have fruit trees, and vineyards are beautiful because are full of flowers. Never work it too much the soil. Try to respect the land as I can, and all together, I think it creating a very good balance against the problems, but also um, giving us the best grape that I can have with energy. So with the aim to make the best wine possible for a year.
Excellent. It just creates an economic environment that they all feed off each other and are more productive and better health. Can you tell us the significance about SP68?
Yeah, SP68 is Provincial Road 68. Is my address. I live in SP68 kilometer 3.3, and is a road connect Vittoria with another small village of this Serrasuolo di Vittoria area, and is an ancient wine road. When in this road, Greece people were carrying wine from the land to the sea to transport the wine to the rest of Italy and Europe. So is an old place, and in a contemporary way, I gave the name SP68, and it's my personal appellation. We can see because around the SP68 I have different vineyards, and I created a small appellation for this wine that is a kind of Cerasuolo di Vittoria, but is a wine very typical that represents the area.
That's awesome. And so, it's an ancient road, which is really interesting from east to west. Can you explain the different terroirs and what it means for the varieties to grow in?
Vittoria is an amazing place for making wine. I think now the appellation is smaller than before. We are in total all producer we are about 20-25 producer wine, and the area for Cerasuolo di Vittoria is 256 hectares. So it's a small appellation, but in a big area, because like 100 years ago, the production of wine here was huge. Terroir is important. We are at the feet of Iblay Mountains, so a chain of mountains full of limestone rock, and on top of the rock we have sand. So in the Miocene period, so million of years ago, Sicily was completely covered by the sea, and we came out 3-4 times. Every time the sea was leaving a kind of sand with the residual of shells and everything on the sea, and this created step by step a stratification until the last inundation that's left 30 centimeters of sand. So Vittoria terroir is perfect for making very elegant wine, because usually all wines have low pH thanks to the limestone, thanks to the difference of temperature between the night and day, and thanks to the sand on top, the red sand rich in iron that gave wine very fruity. So usually the sand makes wine smoother with low tannins, a very rich in flower aromas, and limestone gives wine more austere with high acidity and low pH, so more for aging. And this is a very good balance.
It's very important for Pato and the Nero de Avila to have that red sandy calcareous soil. Why did you make the choice of organic natural wines?
Fortunately, the choice arrived early. I think in reality is the unique method to make wine that's want to tell about terroir. Wines real and also deep. Of course, it's not easy to make good natural wine. Sometimes it's easy to start to do experiment to make wine in a side that wants to tell the character of the producer, but in the other side, I think it's important to tell also the character of the terroir. So respecting the process. So for me, making wine means to be in the process, to follow the process, not to be the most important part of the process, because grape must have its own evolution. But of course, is a process that I have to follow to make wine that represent Victoria. Otherwise, they not represent my territory, but just my way to make wine. So it's the unique way to make wine, to make natural, because if we work so hard in biodynamic in the vineyards, many hours per hectares, and we have a wonderful grape, it's very stupid sometimes to change the grape with the additives, or changing the sense of terroir, or changing the sense of the vintage. So this vintage, for example, is a little bit dry. The vines had a little bit stressful. I have to respect the sense of this vintage. I want to show in my wines the sense of this vintage and the sense of the terroir. So making organic wine means for me showing all this.
So the grapes are the star of the show, and not so much the producer. You just nurture them along. What is your favorite part of this process?
I think both. Depends on the moments of the year, but I really love to stay in the vineyards. For example, after harvest, that for me is a period very intense in cellar. I love to start to plan the cover crop, to plan the work in the soil, to plan the pruning. So I love to stay in the vineyards. And but if I stay too much in the vineyard, start to miss also the cellar, because winemaking is what gave me energy, no? So tasting, planning a new label, planning a new vineyards, and producing the wine from that wine vineyard. So I really love both. I'm completely divided in half and half.
Wonderful. So when you first began making your own wine, what did you expect? And it's a twofold question. And did you ever imagine yourself getting where you are today so quickly?
When I started was 21, so really I decided to rent the vineyards, because I wanted to then experiment, to play. So life was more simple at that moment, when you are so young, you know. But I'm also a serious person that if I decide to make a experiment, it's not solely to experiment for 2 months, but I knew that I wanted to try something. And but I was not expecting what's happened later, because everything arrived in a good way, everything arrived in the right moments. Both the choice I made in the vineyards, in the investment of the farm, and both the things arrived from the external. So from my clients, my importers, the journalists, everything arrived at the right moment. And no, I definitely was not imagine to arrive where I am now. So it's everything was. I want to. If people ask me if I want to repeat, of course, some years were very hard. They are still hard to manage everything, but I'm here with a smile on my face. So I'm still very happy to be a wine producer.
It's incredible your rise so quickly, and on top of that, being a young female producer in a male-dominated industry. I'm just fascinated by it. My next question is a twofold question as well. I wanted to ask you about the Tammy project. What made you decide to start it, and did you achieve its purpose?
Yeah, Tammy started on 2009. It's a project I started with a couple of friends. The idea was to introduce in a very simple way some natural wine from this territory, because Vittoria is a place where we have a lot of land. Fortunately, or not fortunately, depend. The land is not expensive at the moment. It's growing. Fortunately, the is growing now. I'm happy about this because this means that people are coming back again to agriculture and people want again to work in the land. So when I decide to make Tami, I decide to make a natural wine, a simple approach for every day from some vineyards here in Victoria, from friends of Frappato, Nero d'Avola and Grillo. And the purpose was to give simplicity and happiness to the people, not spending a lot of money to drink a good bottle of natural wine well made. So I think we arrived to the purpose, but I decided last year to stop the project just because we arrived to our purpose. And for me now is the moment to concentrate to give more historical sense to my project Occhipinti and to give a more historical sense to the Contrada di Vittoria. This is why I'm focused in project of single vineyards and other kind of project closer to myself.
And it's proven to be well earned because your wines are fantastic, your single and your Vittoria. I also wanted to ask you about your favorite wine that you make and why is it your favorite? It's like picking your favorite child. It's very difficult.
It's a very difficult question, because we as I think also other producer, we decide to make our wines because we feel. I never made wines for the market, but because it was the right moment for that wine to arrive into my life. So I love all my labels. Of course, I always say I love Frappato because we need each other in that moment when I started making wine. Frappato was a little bit abandoned. So maybe Frappato needed a person who was believing a lot in this grape, and I arrived for this grape at the right moments. And maybe I needed a grape important to do what I was able to do and to do a good wine. Maybe with another grape was not so interesting the wine I was making. So I think Frappato is one of my favorites, but recently I'm rediscovering a lot of also the Nero d'Avola because Nero d'Avola was too much used, too much produced in Sicily. In reality, Nero d'Avola was born in southeast of Sicily in the limestone area, especially in Vittoria makes a wine super elegant. So I love also the Nero d'Avola grape because for me represent and show all the character, all the energy of Vittoria terroir. So they both are wonderful grape. In fact, together they make one of the best appellation of Sicily, the unique DOCG, and because they help each other to work very well.
They do. They complement each other very well. And Frappato being one of Italy's oldest varieties, it's a fantastic wine, I think, and I hope it grows in popularity. People drink your wine, it'll definitely grow. So when you're consuming your Frappato, what do you like to pair with that? What do you like to eat with it?
Frappato is very, very funny with pairing because you can also, it's a red, but thanks to the elegance aromas, thanks to the acidity, you can also pair with fish. So soup of fish, like tuna, but some other with tuna, some raw fish. It's a very transversal wine. You can pair in different moment of the meal, and also with rabbit is very good. So some cacciagione with vegetables with some food that have a lot of personality, because in one side there is very energetic wine and the other side is delicate. So I think with maybe fish or is one of the best, like spaghetti with finocchietto, fennel, and anchovy is one of the best pairing for frappato for sure, because it's land and sea in the same moment in the same meal.
I find frappato to be very versatile in its food, just like what you were saying, from seafood to North African cuisine to just about sushi as well. Do you have any new or secret projects on the horizon that you're working on?
I have some around vineyards, so new parcel. I planted, for example, 4 years ago, a wonderful vineyards of Grille in the mountains, 500 meters above the sea, in a very special place with a lot of limestone, so the soil is completely white. And I have a new white wine coming from one parcel, because in the last 2-3 years I'm focused a lot in the single vineyards wine. So wine from a parcel. The project is Vino di Contrada. So this is something new coming, and is the unique wine, white wine, because I have other 3 single vineyards red of Frappato from Contrada di Vittoria. It's the first time we focus in a single parcel in Vittoria, because of course we know the Etna parcel, we know the Etna Contrada, we know the wine from Barolo from France, but I discovered in my last years of working a lot of difference among the different districts of Victoria. And there is a point in a life of a producer, I think you need to experiment a single vineyards, because you taste so many difference among the wines you have, that you want to arrive in a unique label for parcel. So this helped me to make a kind of zonation, so dividing all production I make in specific vineyards. And the other project is to focus a little bit in training young guys to do this work. So I want to do some project around school, viticulture school, and winemaking here in Sicily, because here young people need to be to arrive to the wines, to discover the wines, especially in Victoria. Consider I'm still the youngest, the younger producer in Victoria after 18 years. So there are some new winery, but not necessarily young people. So it's important in my area to bring young person to know this wonderful work. So one of my purpose for the future is to work with young people, to involve them, and to hope one day they start to make wine here.
That's fantastic. I mean, Occhipinti wine camp for the youth. I wish I could sign up, but I think I'm a little too old for it. But you mentioned the Grillo, and Grillo is my favorite white from Sicily. So I can't wait to taste on that project. And I know we talked about Frappato, we talked about Nero di Avola, also known as Calabrese. But you also grow the Zabibo and Albanello. I would love to hear your comments on Albanello, because it's a lesser known variety that's home is down there in near Syracuse and Ragusa. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know I'm deviating a little from the script, but I'm just very interested in hearing your feedback on that varietal.
Of course, Albanello, come from Syracuse and Ragusa area. Is an indigenous grape completely abandoned. When I planted the vineyards in 2006, I took the buds from a whole vineyards that was then from the owner was abandoned, and fortunately I was able to take the buds and to bring in my new place. And it's a very nice bunch because it's open. The skin is medium thick and has not a high acidity, but is very aromatic in sense of Mediterranean aromas like sage, rosemary, and I think with Zibibo that is very aromatic is giving more Sicilian spices aromas and Zibibo more floral. So I like the blend. It was also a blend made in the area uh, between Moscato, Muscatel, and Albanello. Even white in Victoria was no popular because they were blending white grape in a vineyards of red, but never to make a white alone. Instead, they works together very well. So Albanello, I think, is a variety. I just planted another hectare because I think it's very interesting. So it's not very productive, but I think for the blend is working. So I trust in the Albanello also.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I'm done with my questions here. I know, Stevie, you usually open the floor up for questions from.
This is great. First of all, let me try this. Did you like that? That was my special effect.
I felt famous for a second there.
Okay, listen, that was great. I'm going to open now the floor to the audience. So if you want to ask a question to Ariana, please raise your hand and I will bring you up onto the stage. In the meantime, I have a couple of questions for you, Ariana. I mean, this has nothing to do with winemaking nor vineyard management. I just opened up your Insta account. First of all, I don't know what your secret sauce is, so you have to tell us all. You don't really post frequently, but you have a huge following. And I saw that. I can't help not to notice that you were featured on CNN, I guess, Stanley Tucci's show. How did that come about?
Yes, I'm in Instagram, but I'm following personally the page, so it's not easy to to go and post every time I have something special to see. So I see here many things fantastic, but I don't post. I should post a little bit more.
But you're still you have a huge following because usually, you know, they say you have to post often at a certain time, but you go, your Insta page is like your one, you go against the rules, right? So to speak. Yes. Tell us a little bit about how you met Stanley Tucci and how that became, you came into the show.
Yeah, it's arrived, CNN and Stanley, they contact me.
But why you? I mean, we know you're fantastic, but why you?
But the aim of Stanley was to discover and visit something special that was showing Sicily in a real way. In fact, when Stanley arrived here, was focused in showing not fake things, but totally real. So he was very natural. He was he's a very fantastic person. He's a very good man, very traditional man. I like it very much. We are still in contact, and Stanley was one of the more real person I had from TV, and maybe choose me because we found a similar character together, and I think, and you wanted to see the real face of Sicily for sure.
And so where can we see this? Where can we have a look? Is it online on YouTube or?
Yes, it was in CNN in US. You can find in all channel of CNN, and I think I don't know if it's YouTube. Maybe
It would have been great if you had a link, you know, if you were a real pro.
I can't. No, there is no link. I can't because they want to transmit. I think also Europe, so it's still. I think it was only UK and US at the moment. So They are waiting to show in other channel, in other TV.
So Stevie, in his series, she is the only wine producer that he goes and visits. You see him drinking wine in every episode, but Ariana is the only producer that he featured and visited.
It's fantastic. I'm going to look for that. So, Ariana, I have another kind of cheeky question for you. So, which I'd love to ask, especially the wine producers. If you, in a blind tasting, you line up, let's say, 10 frappatos, okay, like the benchmark frappatos, okay, would you be able to actually recognize yours? Number one. And if you do, if you can, what are the features that you can easily detect of your wine from the rest?
Blind testing.
Yes, be honest.
I trained in the past myself a lot in blind tasting. I have some very friends crazy about wine tasting, blind tasting. So about my wine, I was able to recognize a couple of times. Once, no. But I really loved that wine. I was almost crying, and then people show was mine. But in a line of Frappato, I think for me it's more easy to understand my wines. Yes.
But how can you tell it's yours? Like, what are the characteristics?
What I find in my wines, maybe they are real as they are make in terms of they show the sense of limestone. So you taste the acidity, the freshness. You taste the nose as something that is okay, fruit, strawberry, as Cerasuolo usually is, but also more linked to the soil. Is not so gentle sometimes. So surprise for the elegance, but it's not necessary like super fruity or. So I think is also very linked to the sense of the soil, and is give a good energy when you taste. So
Yeah, so I know I have a lot of wine experts in the audience, but is it fair to say that you can detect it because it seems quote unquote more natural in a way?
well, my wines, of course, made the natural way, but what people say of my wines, it's fortunately they really represent the territory. So they are not natural in terms of only winemaking natural, means that there are not always, it's not always dirty or they are clean. They represent Victoria, they represent the limestone, but you can taste they are a real wine. So after years and years tasting natural wine, of course, when I put my nose in a traditional conventional wine, I sadly recognize it's made with additives because it's like when you start to taste chocolate. When you taste the best chocolate and then you come back to a industrial chocolate, you can't come back, you know. So it's the same with the wine. So you want a wine that give you energy. You don't want any more wines that take away from you energy. So this is for me the difference. I started making wine, natural wine, with the word of natural wine was at the beginning when the French producer were arriving also to Italy and the new group of natural producer in Italy was born. And fortunately, I say I belong to the first group of natural producer that sometimes we did a lot of errors, but now we focus to make wine that represent terroir. And there is also a new comer producer that's maybe are jumping a little bit in our world to just making wine because the market is asking, but they are not making a choice of life about agriculture. They are not necessarily always good winemakers, and so I think wine is a very serious thing, and we need years and years to make the best wine from a terroir. So I like that my wine in different kind of people taste wine from very high sommelier quality to the wine lovers. They think they have a very good purpose, and they are very, very good. So I should not say, of course, but fortunately they are wine that connect people, and many different kind of people they like. So from natural funky people to the very high sommelier from a Michelin star restaurant, for example, no?
So, I have an idea as you were speaking. I think next time you come to Vinitaly, for example, we should do a blind tasting of Frappato.
Yes.
Okay, and we're going to do a challenge. Can Arianna Occhipinti detect her own Frappato? Okay.
Oh my God.
So I really think we should do this. What do you think, Fermented Boss?
I love the idea.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I think we should definitely do it. Okay, listen, otherwise I don't want to monopolize this time. Let me ask, I brought Laika up to the stage. Laika, have you got a question for Ariana?
Yes, I have a question. So I'm really inspired by listening your story. It's really amazing for me. Well, okay, but this one's not gonna be geeky as how Stevie asked you. I would just want to be a little bit philosophical. So with the many projects that you're doing, how do you keep yourself creative, and what inspires you to keep innovating?
I know that to grow my ideas, I have to go a little bit slow. In terms, I'm a person that run a lot every day, and when I run too much, it's not a period I produce idea. When I go slower a little bit, and also the season of fall help me. For example, ideas arrive, and I connect my soul more with my desire to make things, because I have always desire to invent, to do things, but to arrive to the right things, I need silence. I need silence to listen me. So usually spring and summer are very hard moments, and I have good ideas, of course, but fall and winter is a good period to connect myself, for sure. Yes.
Okay, so Laika, let me just remind everybody, Laika is our Clubhouse manager backstage, and she's been doing such a wonderful job. And I called up Alberto, but he actually went away. Alberto, for next week, it will be Alberto Martinez Interiano. He was our top student from the VIA graduating class of Verona just a couple of months ago. And he will be interviewing Christophe Quenzilli from Le Piana. And that's next week, the same time, 8 p.m. This will be the last question from Fanny. Alberto's back. Fanny. Ciao, Fanny. She is also our new Italian wine ambassador from France. I think you're only one of two. Ciao, Fanny. Have you got a question for Ariana?
Ciao, Stevie. Ciao, everyone. And ciao, Arianna. I had the same question, so I have a second one. Ariana, can you remind us what's the proportion between Frappato and Nero d'Avola in the white grapes? And also, since I really like the project you have started with the Vino di Contrade, which is very interesting, could we imagine once having a Vino di Contrade from Nero d'Avola?
Nero d'Avola, of course, could have a Vino di Contrada, because in Vittoria has a lot of personality, and I have every vintage I have 5, 4, 6 different kind of Nero d'Avola, because from Santa Teresa to Pettineo to Fossa di Lupo, Contrada, there are many difference also in Nero d'Avola. So maybe one day. Of course, we can't make labels, but who loves making wine, I think loves to continue to experiment. So Sorry if I introduce many labels in the future, but if I want to continue to experiment, I have. So maybe funny, of course.
There will never be too much label.
Especially for the French lady over here. Funny. With millions of questions. She has so many questions during the exam. I was going to hit her with a frying pan, but she asked the right questions. This is how she performed very well. Listen, I said you were the last, but I will let one last question from Andre, also our neo-Italian wine ambassador from Latvia. Ciao, Andre.
Yep. Actually, maybe my question will be about whole Sicily, because it's one of my favorite wine regions from Italy, and you are, of course, it's patriot of your land. And Cerasuolo di Vittoria, at the moment, the only DOCG of actually, it's the biggest Italian region, and with the dozens of native variety. It's quite a shame. Maybe you tell us, let's say, your opinion about which denomination should be upgraded to DOCG, and maybe you tell us what is your favorite wine from another different place of your.
Had I known that you were going to ask 10 questions, I would not have brought you up onto the stage as the last question.
Okay.
Sorry. All right. Go ahead, Ariana.
But I think I'm in appellation historical. In my opinion, Cerasuolo di Vittoria must upgraded, of course, because we have a wonderful soil and climates and place, and also is a place where new producer can invest, not expending a lot of money, but they have possibility to make a great wine. So I think Cerasuolo has more and more and more potential, and so I invite people to discover this territory, invite you to visit, invite you to study the opportunity to do something here. So it's an open invitation to everybody. And I think Sicily at the moment is fortunately focused not only in the sense of wine from whole island, but from specific appellation. So we have a wonderful appellation as Vittoria, as Etna, as Faro in the north, as Marsala. That makes this region finally considered one of the best regions in Italy, not to make only big and super heavy or alcoholic wine, but for making wine very good, very specific, that's tell a wonderful terroir. And Cerasuolo is one of these. Sometimes people, maybe they know more Cerasuolo like Cerasuolo d'Abruzzo, and of course Cerasuolo di Vittoria is the first and unique at the moment at DOCG, because we were able to do, because we are a small group of producers, but also because there is the history and the character of a wonderful wine to become the unique DOCG in Sicily. And so people must discover more Cerasuolo also in Italy. Cerasuolo need to be more known also in Italy. And United US, enough good, so very well. And so please, I invite you, of course, to discover and test the different labels and different wineries of our place.
Okay, and that's a wrap. I'm going to close up the room. Thank you so much, Arianna Occhipinti and Fermented Boss Hugh Preece. So next week, same time, please join us, and 8 p.m. with Alberto Martinez Interiano. Arrivederci a tutti. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Bye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more.
Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.